Most people do not become poor because they make one dramatic mistake. They become trapped because of a system that feels normal, a system that repeats every month, a system so common that millions of people stop questioning it. Work, get paid, pay bills, recover, work again. At first, this seems like ordinary adult life, responsible life, stable life, but for millions of people, it becomes something much darker. A financial loop. A cycle where income comes in and disappears almost immediately. A cycle where effort is constant, but progress is painfully slow. A cycle where people are always busy, always trying, always paying, always surviving, and still never feel free. This is what we can call the paycheck trap. And the reason it is so dangerous is simple. It does not always look like failure. A person can be hardworking, responsible, organized, respectable. They can have a job, a routine, a decent image, a functional life, and still be deeply trapped financially. Because the paycheck trap is not just about low income. It is about dependence. It is about needing the next payment so badly that life cannot breathe without it. It is about a financial structure with no real margin, no real ownership, no real momentum, no real freedom. And once someone enters that pattern for long enough, it starts to feel permanent. They stop asking how to escape. They start asking only how to manage the pressure. That is the moment the trap becomes psychological, not just financial. And that is exactly what we are going to break down in this video. We are going to explore why most people never escape the paycheck trap. We will talk about monthly dependency, lifestyle lock-in, debt pressure, the illusion of stability, the emotional cost of living without margin, and the hidden reason many hardworking people remain stuck for years. Because once you understand the trap clearly, you can start making very different decisions. And different decisions, repeated over time, can completely change your future. Let's begin with the first reason. The first reason most people never escape the paycheck trap is that they build a life where income is immediately spoken for. This is one of the most important ideas in personal finance. A lot of people do not actually control their money when it arrives. Their money arrives already claimed by rent, by mortgage, by car payments, by insurance, by food, by subscriptions, by debt, by taxes, by school costs, by responsibilities they cannot delay. So even before they receive the paycheck, most of it already belongs to something else. That is a dangerous structure, because it means each month begins with very little freedom. The person is not deciding what to do with money. They are trying to survive what is left after obligations take their share. And when this happens for years, financial life becomes reactive, not strategic. The person no longer asks, "How do I build wealth?" They ask, "How do I make it to the next payment?" That shift is devastating, because a life built around the next paycheck is a life that cannot plan clearly. The second reason most people stay trapped is lifestyle lock-in. This is one of the most underestimated forms of financial pressure. At first, lifestyle upgrades feel harmless. A better apartment, a better car, a nicer phone, a more convenient routine, a slightly more expensive neighborhood, a little more comfort, a little more presentation, a little more status. None of it seems extreme in isolation. That is exactly why it is dangerous. Because over time, those upgrades stop feeling optional. They start feeling normal, necessary, expected. And once a lifestyle becomes normal, reducing it feels painful, even humiliating for some people. This is what creates lifestyle lock-in. The person can no longer easily go backward. Their life has become expensive to maintain. That means every future paycheck is now required to defend the version of life they built. And instead of income creating freedom, income becomes the fuel for maintenance. The paycheck is no longer a tool. It becomes life support. The third reason most people never escape is debt dependency. Debt is one of the strongest walls inside the paycheck trap. Because debt does something very powerful. It sends future income backward. It takes money that has not yet been earned and assigns it to past decisions. That means tomorrow's effort is already partially sold. And once enough debt exists, even a decent salary starts feeling weak. This is why someone can earn respectable money and still feel financially fragile, because their future has been pre-spent. Credit cards, car loans, consumer financing, installments, personal loans. These things create a dangerous illusion. They make life feel easier now, while making freedom harder later. And because modern culture normalizes debt so aggressively, many people stop noticing the size of the trap they are building. They do not feel rich, they feel functional. But function is not freedom. The fourth reason people remain stuck is that the paycheck trap rewards short-term thinking and punishes long-term thinking. When money feels tight, the next bill becomes louder than the next decade. That changes behavior. People focus on immediate relief, immediate cash, immediate comfort, immediate survival. And that makes sense emotionally. But the trouble is that long-term freedom is almost never built through short-term decisions repeated forever. It is built through sacrifices that often do not feel rewarding in the moment. Saving when spending would feel good, investing when consuming would feel easier, reducing lifestyle when ego wants expansion, building slowly when impatience wants speed. All of this requires long-term thinking. But long-term thinking becomes harder when every month feels like pressure. This is why the paycheck trap is not just about arithmetic. It is about mental bandwidth. Stress narrows vision, and narrowed vision makes strategic wealth building less likely. The fifth reason most people never escape is that they mistake income for security. This confusion traps millions of people. A paycheck can create temporary stability, but it is not the same thing as real security. Because if the money stops, what remains? That is the question that exposes the trap. If someone loses their job and panic begins immediately, then the paycheck was not security. It was a temporary bridge holding everything up. Real security is different. Real security includes savings, liquidity, assets, reduced obligations, alternative income streams, ownership, margin. But many people never build those things because the paycheck creates the illusion that all is well. As long as money keeps coming in, the structure appears functional. And because the structure appears functional, change gets delayed. That is one of the most dangerous aspects of the paycheck trap. It can feel stable right until the moment it is tested. The sixth reason most people stay stuck is that they do not own enough of what grows. This is a central difference between trapped people and freer people. Trapped people often work for money. Freer people increasingly own things that produce money. That could be investments, businesses, intellectual property, rental income, revenue-generating content, equity. Ownership is what breaks dependency over time, because ownership can continue creating value even when labor pauses. But a person who stays trapped in the paycheck cycle often spends too much of their income on maintenance to build meaningful ownership. So the cycle continues. Work, get paid, pay everything, start again. And because ownership never grows, leverage never grows. And because leverage never grows, freedom never grows. That is why escaping the paycheck trap requires more than earning. It requires converting income into assets. The seventh reason people remain trapped is recurring expenses. This problem is quieter than debt, but in many cases just as destructive. A lot of people have built a life full of automatic monthly extraction. Subscriptions, memberships, installment plans, service fees, storage fees, app costs, delivery habits, premium conveniences. All of these seem manageable on their own. But together, they create a structure where income arrives already partially drained. This matters because recurring expenses reduce optionality. They make each month more rigid. They make each paycheck more necessary. They reduce room for savings. They reduce room for investing. They reduce room for recovery, and over time, they create the feeling that no matter how much someone earns, there is never enough left. The eighth reason most people never escape is social pressure. A lot of financial traps survive because they are socially rewarded. Looking stable, looking successful, looking established, looking like a functioning adult. These signals matter a lot in modern life. And because they matter, people often spend to maintain them. They want the right car, the right area, the right social lifestyle, the right image, the right external proof that they are doing well. But social proof is expensive, and a surprising number of people remain financially weak because they are performing comfort for others. Not necessarily in dramatic ways, sometimes in small, repeated ways, ways that look ordinary, ways that seem harmless. But over years, these choices consume extraordinary amounts of capital. The wealthy strategic thinker often learns to break from this earlier. They become more interested in strength than applause, more interested in independence than appearances, more interested in future power than present validation. That difference is enormous. The ninth reason people stay trapped is emotional exhaustion. This point matters more than most people realize. The paycheck trap is tiring, not just financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually even. To always be calculating, always checking, always waiting, always thinking about timing, always needing the next deposit. That kind of life drains energy, and drained people tend to make weaker long-term decisions. Not because they are unintelligent, but because exhaustion pushes people toward convenience, comfort, and relief. That means more takeout, more impulse purchases, more reward spending, more short-term choices, more financial leakage. The trap then reinforces itself. Pressure creates exhaustion. Exhaustion creates weaker decisions. Weaker decisions create more pressure. And the cycle continues. The 10th reason most people never escape is that they have no margin. Margin is one of the most powerful concepts in financial freedom. Margin means breathing room, extra cash, extra time, extra capacity, extra resilience. It means life is not balanced on a knife edge. The paycheck trap destroys margin because in the paycheck trap, most of the system is already committed. There is no room for surprise, no room for delay, no room for experimentation, no room for calm. And that is dangerous because without margin, every small disruption feels large. A repair feels massive. A late payment feels terrifying. A work problem feels threatening. A medical cost feels destabilizing. A week of reduced income feels catastrophic. Margin changes everything. It does not just create comfort. It creates strategic power. The person with margin can wait, think, negotiate, plan, invest, recover. The person without margin can only react. The 11th reason most people never escape is that they never fully redesign their financial structure. This is crucial. A lot of people try to escape the paycheck trap by increasing effort inside the same broken structure. More hours, more hustle, more overtime, more pressure. Sometimes that helps temporarily, but if the structure remains the same, the trap usually returns. Because the real issue is not only earnings, it is architecture. How expensive is the life? How rigid are the monthly costs? How dependent is the person on one income source? How much ownership exists? How much recurring money goes out? How much financial fragility is hidden behind normal life? Without redesign, more income can simply feed a larger trap. That is why so many people earn more over time, yet do not feel meaningfully freer. The machine changed size, not direction. The 12th reason most people stay trapped is that they delay serious financial action for too long. This is the danger of later. Later I will save. Later I will invest. Later I will reduce expenses. Later I will learn how money works. Later I will get serious. But later is expensive, because every delayed year is a year where habits did not compound, assets did not grow, knowledge did not deepen, ownership did not expand. Time matters enormously in finance. And one of the hidden tragedies of the paycheck trap is that it convinces people they will build later. after life calms down. But life rarely calms down on its own. It must be redesigned. The 13th reason people remain stuck is that they are rewarded for reliability, not necessarily for leverage. This is an uncomfortable truth. A lot of hard-working people become extremely dependable. Excellent workers, excellent employees, excellent problem solvers, excellent supporters of systems built by others. And that has value. But value inside someone else's machine is not always the same as freedom, because the owner of the machine often receives the larger upside. The operator receives the paycheck. This is why many people become more skilled without becoming much freer. Their talent improves their employability, but not necessarily their independence. To escape the paycheck trap, a person eventually needs more than reliability. They need leverage, ownership, a structure that can produce without requiring their full-time presence forever. The 14th reason people stay trapped is fear of visible downgrade. A lot of people know what would help them financially: cut costs, downsize, drive something cheaper, say no to certain social expenses, reduce ego purchases, simplify life. But they hesitate because these changes are visible. Other people may notice. Their identity may feel threatened. They may feel like they are moving backward. This is one of the deepest psychological walls in personal finance. People do not always remain trapped because they cannot change. Sometimes they remain trapped because they do not want the social discomfort of changing visibly. But freedom often requires a season of looking less impressive than you could. That is a powerful truth. The 15th reason most people never escape is that they stop believing escape is realistic. This may be the most dangerous stage of all. At first, the paycheck trap feels temporary. Then it feels stressful. Then it feels normal. Then eventually, it feels permanent. And once it feels permanent, ambition shrinks. The person stops asking, "How do I get free?" They ask only, "How do I survive this month with less pain?" That is psychological surrender, and it is devastating because it closes the door before structural change ever begins. The encouraging part is that this mindset can be reversed. But it requires clarity. It requires seeing the trap not as identity, but as a system. And systems can be changed. Not instantly, not magically, but deliberately. A person can reduce obligations, increase savings, cut recurring costs, build emergency margin, start ownership, learn investing, build a second stream, simplify lifestyle, protect cash, separate identity from consumption. Those moves may feel small individually, but together they begin to break the trap. And once the trap weakens, a different life becomes possible. A life where the paycheck is helpful, but not everything. A life where one delay does not cause panic. A life where opportunity can be taken. A life where the next month no longer controls the entire emotional system. That is what real financial progress feels like. Not just more money coming in, but less fear around what happens if money pauses. The paycheck trap does not usually break in one heroic moment. It breaks through repeated decisions that restore margin and ownership. A little less dependence, a little more savings, a little less ego, a little more structure, a little less performance, a little more freedom. That is how escape begins. And once someone starts moving in that direction, something powerful happens. They stop living month to month emotionally. They stop feeling owned by the calendar. They stop building life around the next deposit. They begin building life around long-term strength. And that changes everything. Because the ultimate goal is not just to get paid. The ultimate goal is to become harder to control, harder to pressure, harder to destabilize. That is real financial power. And once you understand that, you stop asking only how to earn more. You start asking how to need less, own more, and build a life that can finally breathe. If this video made you see the paycheck trap differently, like it. And if you want more videos about wealth, money psychology, financial freedom, and building real independence, Subscribe now. Because on this channel, we are not just talking about making money. We are talking about escaping financial dependence. And in the comments, answer this. What do you think keeps most people trapped the longest? Debt, lifestyle, low margin, or pure monthly dependence? Because once you identify the real chain, you finally have a chance to break it.